Okay, good morning again. I'm going to do a little example for kind of what I'm expecting for your reading notes this year. We'll have lots of reading assignments out of the book, web pages, and I wanted to just model that so you know kind of what I'm looking for. Your reading notes are going to be worth a point value every week, so make sure you do a good job. If they're generally going to be graded based on completion, but I will take off points if they are not acceptable. So what I want to see either in your digital notebook or paper notebook is a title. What is the topic you're reading about? And as an example, I'm using our textbook, and I'm looking at page 18 right now. The topic, section 4 title, is graphing data. So what I've done here is I write T equals graphing data, chapter 1, pages 18 through 23. You don't have to have that part there as long as you tell me what is this about, because really notes are for you to refer back to, and if you stay organized, they'll actually be useful instead of just being a hoop that you jump through for a teacher. So I'm going to go ahead and just start reading here. Identifying variables. I'm looking at the bold section there. When you perform an experiment, it's important to only to change one factor at a time. What I want to see is a star dash dot format. What that means is the stars are kind of the main ideas. The dashes are key points. And the dots are details or examples. And don't get hung up on defining every vocab term in this book. It turns out in physics, vocabulary is not as important as, let's say, like a biology class. But certainly some of the vocab you should define. So as I'm reading here, the textbooks, you might not like them, but they kind of help you to break down information. You know, that bold part at the top of the page, identifying variables, that would be my main idea. And on your reading notes, I don't want to see excessive writing. You need to develop the ability to summarize, paraphrase, and put into your own words to make it more meaningful to you. So identifying variables, there's, as I read down here, there's the independent and the dependent. So I'd want to have that. And if you don't know what those two are, I'm going to have to send you back to your last science teacher, JK. And what are some details we might say about those? The independent variable is what the experimenter changes. And the dependent variable, you can use arrows and this sort of thing, so that helps you, changes based on the independent variable. So as I keep going, my next kind of main idea would be the line of best fit. What in the heck is that? This is a really important thing because a lot of students will want to just connect the dots on a graph. Let's say we do an experiment and you collect some data points. You have typically, I'll go off on a tangent here, and actually pictures are really good in your notes too, which makes handwritten notes maybe a little bit easier. The independent variable is always going to go on your x-axis, and the dependent variable would go on your y-axis. A lot of times time would be your independent and go on your x-axis. But let's say my independent variable in this case is mass, and my dependent variable might be velocity. Make sure with graphing that you identify the units and title and units, so I'd have to say mass in kilograms as well. But then I have some data points. So back to this idea of line of best fit. So I'm rolling a car down a ramp, and I'm changing the weight of the car, and I see how fast it goes. And it wouldn't make a lot of sense to connect these dots like that. With physics, we want to find relationships between variables, and that's done by looking at a trend line. And so freehand, you would take a ruler and draw a line as close to the points as you can to get a sense of what's the trend. Are we increasing velocity as mass increases? Are we decreasing? And that sort of thing. With Excel, we'll be doing this and have Excel draw a line of best fit for linear data, and we'll look at some of the other mathematical relationships that we'll see, like nonlinear relationships, quadratic relationships, inverse relationships, exponential, those sorts of things. But for now, with back to my reading, getting excited here, when I'm taking the notes, I might have something like that. That's a picture showing me what the line of best fit actually is. I don't even have to write any words. And I can maybe just go on to my next page, page 20. And notice how I skipped over page 19. Page 19 is a great example, and it shows you kind of that line of best fit. Let me actually show you that right here. So here's what I'm looking at. And this is good stuff. You should definitely read and take a look at the figures. And if you can add in some notes from that, that's useful as well. But I wouldn't want you to like copy down all of these steps. That seems a little bit excessive. We don't want to be copying information from the textbook. Even just doing that is good enough for me. So what I'm looking for here in review, star dash dot or something close to that, it's definitely a skill to be able to extract the meaningful information from text, to be able to process it, and make it your own by doing this note-taking process. So you'll be uploading notes to Teams regularly. That'll be your weekly assignment, as I said. And if you have any questions, bring them to class when you see me. All right, that's it.